There is a deep longing within all of us, a desire to trust ourselves, to know that when we set an intention, we'll follow through. Trust doesn't come from grand achievements, it is born from consistency. When your thoughts, actions, and words align day after day, something powerful happens inside of you. You begin to feel safe with yourself. This is your invitation to reclaim that safety, to gently but firmly train your mind to stay steady, because you are worthy of your own trust. And consistency is not punishment. It is the deepest form of self-love. When you choose to be consistent with yourself, you are making one of the most powerful declarations a person can ever make. I matter. You are not waiting for others to show up for you. You are not waiting for the perfect moment or perfect mood. You are taking your place in the world with grace and intention. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you are practicing sacred self-respect. Most people think of consistency as a discipline of the mind, but in truth, it is a devotion of the heart. It says, I love myself enough to follow through. It says, I believe in my own worth, even when no one else is watching. It is one of the most beautiful and loving ways to care for your inner being, because consistency creates safety. It tells every part of you, your wounded inner child, your tired adult self, your hopeful soul, that you are finally being cared for, nurtured, and honored. Think about it. When someone you love makes a promise and breaks it over and over again, how do you feel? Unsafe, unseen, disappointed. That is how your inner self feels when you constantly delay, avoid, or excuse your own needs. On the other hand, when you consistently do what you said you'd do, even if it's something as simple as getting out of bed on time, journaling for 5 minutes, or walking for 10, your heart starts to soften. Your inner voice becomes kinder, and your confidence grows not from outside achievements, but from the deeply rooted knowing that you can count on yourself. You have aware of that deep yearning of your heart, which means consistency isn't about perfection. You will fall, you will forget, you will skip a day, and that is okay. True consistency is not about never making mistakes. It is about returning again and again to what matters. Returning to your intention, to your routine, to your peace. Each time you return, it becomes easier. Each time you recommit, it becomes more natural. And slowly a new identity is born, one that is resilient, dependable, and self-loving. When you make a plan and follow through, even in the face of resistance, something powerful happens. You begin to feel proud. Not the egoic kind of pride that craves applause, but the quiet kind that whispers, I'm growing, I'm healing, I'm not giving up on me. You become a person who treats themselves with the kind of care you may have once begged others to give you. And that shift changes everything. Ceremony. We are often raised to please others. We learn to show up for school, for work, for family, even when we are exhausted. But how often do we show up for ourselves with that same dedication? How often do we say, I will not break this promise to myself today? That is the real transformation, not just learning to be consistent, but choosing to apply that consistency inward. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to feel ready. Readiness is a lie your mind tells you to keep you in the same loop. The truth is, you're already ready. You've just been waiting to respect yourself enough to begin. So begin today. Do one small thing you promised yourself you'd do, and do it again tomorrow. Not because someone is watching, not because you want praise, but because you deserve to feel trustworthy in your own eyes. The more you practice, the more you'll feel the weight of chaos begin to lift. You'll stop second guessing. You'll stop feeling guilty about what you didn't do. and you'll start walking through life with a quiet, unshakable strength that says, I am my own anchor. I show up for me. This is the path to inner peace. This is the path to real confidence. This is how you become your own best friend. And in the stillness of your own integrity, you will discover that self-respect is not something you earn. It is something you choose. With every act of follow-through, every repetition, every loving return to your intention. So breathe deeply. Know that it is not too late. You have not missed your chance. The moment you decide to honor your word to yourself, you are creating a new story. And in that story, you are not flaky, not unmotivated, not weak. You are committed. You are healing. You are worthy of the life you say you want. And the beautiful truth is, you always were. Your mind is powerful, but it is not your master. It is not the ruler of your destiny or the final authority over who you are or what you can become. Your mind is a tool, a brilliant, flexible, trainable tool. And like any tool, it can either build your life or break it, depending on how you use it. Most people go through life being ruled by their minds, not realizing they have the power to shape, shift, and reprogram their thoughts. But once you understand this truth, you will never look at yourself the same way again. The thoughts you think are not commands. They are not truths. They are patterns, habits, and responses shaped by your past, your environment, and your fears. They can be changed. They can be softened. They can be rewired. Just as the body can be stretched and strengthened with daily effort, the mind can be reshaped with gentle awareness and loving repetition. Many of us grew up believing every thought in our head was real. We accepted every worry, every judgment, every fear as gospel. But the mind does not always speak the language of truth. It speaks the language of familiarity. It gives you what you've rehearsed. If you've spent years thinking you're not good enough, not ready, not lovable, then your mind will continue to offer those thoughts as your default setting. But default is not destiny. You have the power to rewrite the narrative. Training your mind is not about controlling every thought. It's about noticing your patterns without judgment and choosing a new path. It's about becoming the loving observer instead of the frightened follower. When your mind says, I can't, you can respond with, that's a fear, not a fact. When your mind says, it's too hard, you can remind it, hard things are still possible. With practice, your inner dialogue becomes more supportive, more aligned, and more peaceful. You are not at the mercy of your mental chatter. You can interrupt a negative thought. You can replace a fear with an affirmation. You can choose to feed your focus instead of your doubt. And every time you do this, no matter how small, you are training your mind to support your soul instead of sabotage it. This is not always easy at first. The mind will resist. It will try to protect you by keeping things familiar, even if familiar means suffering. That's okay. It's just doing what it was trained to do. But now you are choosing to retrain it. With compassion, with patience, and with repetition, you are choosing to teach it new words, new rhythms, new truths. You are choosing to speak to yourself with kindness and to think in a way that serves your healing. One of the most important things to remember is that the mind is always listening. It is always taking notes. So be mindful of how you speak, not just out loud, but silently to yourself. Are your thoughts nourishing or depleting you? Are they lifting you or limiting you? Each thought you choose is a seed, and with enough repetition, those seeds grow into beliefs, and those beliefs shape your reality. That's why affirmations work, not because they are magic, but but because they rewire your inner dialogue. When you say, I am safe, even in the face of fear, your mind begins to create that safety. When you say, I am worthy, over and over, your mind begins to search for evidence that it's true. This is how new neural pathways are built, not overnight, but consistently with love. There is so much power in this realization. You are not broken, you are not weak. If your thoughts have been unkind or chaotic or self-sabotaging, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because those are the thoughts you've been practicing. And you can practice something new. You can practice peace. You can practice gratitude. You can practice encouragement and faith and clarity. Start small. Notice one limiting thought today. Don't argue with it. Just breathe and replace it. Offer yourself a new perspective. Be curious instead of critical. And then do it again tomorrow. With each repetition, you are retraining your mind to become your ally instead of your enemy. The mind is not the master, you are. You are the awareness behind the thought, the breath behind the moment, the spirit behind the story. You get to choose which thoughts stay and which ones dissolve. And with time, your mind will learn to follow your lead. It will become steady, clear, and aligned with the love you now choose to live by. You are not here to be ruled by fear. You are here to rise in love with yourself, with your purpose, and with every thought that now carries you forward. There is a kind of peace that no one can give you and no one can take away. It comes from the quiet, sacred act of following through on the promises you make to yourself. This is the birthplace of inner safety. Not the safety the world tries to offer with its shifting circumstances, but the deep-rooted knowing that you will not abandon yourself again. That no matter what happens, you can trust your own word. When you say you'll do something, wake up early, drink more water, move your body, rest more, create, write, forgive, and you actually do it, something inside you softens. Something inside you exhales. That place within you that's been anxious, scattered, or self-critical begins to feel held, cared for, protected. This is the foundation of real healing. You see, inner safety isn't about having a perfect life. It's about building a loving relationship with yourself. It's about proving to your heart that it's finally safe to open again, that you'll no longer say one thing and do another, that you'll no longer make big plans only to leave yourself behind. Every time you follow through, you are saying, I am here. I've got you. And over time, your nervous system begins to relax. Your mind starts to settle. Your energy starts to flow in harmony with who you truly are. Following through doesn't need to be dramatic or overwhelming. It doesn't require big, life-changing leaps. It simply asks for integrity, a gentle kind of honesty that begins with the self. You don't have to run a marathon. You just need to keep the small promises. Today, I will take kindly to myself. Today, I will take one step toward my dream. Today, I will stop explaining myself to people who don't truly see me. These acts may seem small, but they are revolutionary, because they rewire the part of you that has been conditioned to expect abandonment, disappointment, and inconsistency. Many people have lived in survival mode for so long, they've forgotten what inner safety even feels like. Maybe you've grown used to starting over, making new plans, new routines, new declarations, only to watch them fade a few days later. And when that happens enough, a subtle kind of hopelessness begins to grow. The part of you that once believed you could change begins to doubt. But let me remind you of something powerful. You are not broken. You are not weak. You've simply been practicing mistrust. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you're sending a signal to your body and mind you don't matter enough to show up for. But the good news is, the very moment you begin to follow through, even in the smallest way, You send a new signal. You are worthy of devotion. You are safe to trust. That's the beauty of this work. You don't need a perfect past. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need presence. Right here, right now. A decision to honor your word to yourself again and again. You may slip, you may forget, but you always come back. That return is more powerful than perfection. Following through builds a sense of identity rooted in self-trust. You begin to know yourself not as someone who quits, but as someone who keeps going. Not as someone who talks, but someone who acts. And from that knowing, your entire world begins to shift. You start making better choices. You start attracting healthier relationships. You stop needing outside approval because you have your own. There's nothing more magnetic than someone who trusts themselves. They walk differently. They speak with clarity. They don't chase because they're not looking to be filled. They are already full from within. And that fullness is built one promise at a time, one follow-through at a time. If your inner child could speak, they would say, please don't break your word again. They don't need perfection, they just need consistency. They need to know that you'll do what you say you will, that you'll keep the boundaries you set, that you'll feed the body, rest the heart, and speak gently when things get hard. Every act of follow-through becomes a new memory for them, a new example, a new kind of safety they've been craving. A thought. So begin today. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for motivation. Start with something simple and do it. Then do it again tomorrow. Build a bridge of trust with your own soul. Reassure every part of you that has waited so long for stability. You don't need anyone else to give you that groundedness. It's already within you. The power, the devotion, the clarity, it's all there. You simply need to meet it with action. Because when you follow through, you are not just completing a task. You are building a home inside yourself where peace can finally live. It's easy to believe that transformation requires something big, a massive breakthrough, a dramatic decision, or a sudden bold move. But real, lasting change rarely happens all at once. It happens quietly, consistently, and often unnoticed through small daily actions that build on each other like gentle waves shaping the shore. It's the little things done with love and intention that carry the most power. It's brushing your teeth while affirming your worth. It's choosing a kind thought over a critical one. It's breathing deeply before reacting. These small acts may seem insignificant, but over time, they create an unshakable foundation for the life you truly want. The mind often overlooks the small steps because it's been trained to crave instant results. It wants big gestures, fast outcomes, and visible rewards, but the soul knows better. The soul moves at the pace of truth, and truth grows slowly, like a tree rooted in love. Each time you take a small step in the direction of your healing, your dreams, or your peace, you are telling your subconscious, this is who I am now. This is the life I am building. And that message gets stronger the more you repeat it. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to change your whole life by the weekend. What you need is presence, commitment, and the gentle awareness that every choice, no matter how small, either brings you closer to or further from your true self. Drinking a glass of water instead of reaching for something that numbs your feelings is a small act, but it speaks volumes. Journaling for 5 minutes to connect with your emotions is a small act, but it opens space for clarity. Saying no to something that drains you is a small act, but it honors your energy. These are not meaningless habits. These are seeds of transformation. Consistency in small actions builds momentum, and momentum builds identity. Every time you show up for your morning routine, speak kindly to yourself, take a mindful breath, or follow through on a promise, you are confirming to your heart, I am safe now. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. The body remembers, the nervous system responds, and the old patterns, fear, avoidance, self-sabotage, begin to fade. You may not notice the results right away, and that's okay. Change doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like going to bed a little earlier. Sometimes it looks like cleaning a corner of your room. Sometimes it looks like turning your phone off and sitting in silence for 5 minutes. These actions may not seem heroic, but they are, because you are choosing awareness over autopilot. You are choosing alignment over chaos. You are choosing to participate in your own evolution. Small daily actions also teach you how to stay present. When you're always chasing a big breakthrough, you miss the sacredness of now. You begin to believe that happiness, peace, or worthiness will arrive someday when you've accomplished enough, healed enough, or earned enough. But life doesn't happen in the someday. It happens in the now. And the now is shaped by what you choose to do with your next moment. That's where your power lives. I think there's something deeply healing about realizing that you don't need to rush. You don't need to hustle for your worth. You don't need to prove anything. All you need to do is show up lovingly and consistently in the direction of what matters to you. That could mean preparing a healthy meal, meditating for 5 minutes, reading a single page from an inspiring book, writing a list of things you're grateful for, smiling at yourself in the mirror. All of these are messages to your subconscious. I am here. I am willing. I am becoming. The beauty of small actions is that they are accessible. They don't depend on your circumstances, your energy levels, or your mood. You can always take one gentle step, even on the hardest days. And that step, repeated daily, becomes a path. That path becomes a habit. That habit becomes your life. If you ever feel lost, overwhelmed, or unsure where to begin, just return to one small act, one breath, one prayer, one loving gesture. Then repeat it. Keep watering the seed, even if you don't see it sprouting yet. Trust that something sacred is unfolding beneath the surface. The results will come, not all at once, but in the way that truly lasts, quietly, steadily, and beautifully. You don't need to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. And each small step you take is evidence that you are choosing to live, to love, and to rise. Not through force, but through intention. Not through striving, but through showing up. This is how change happens. This is how you become, one small action at a time. And every one of them matters. Inconsistency is often misunderstood. It's labeled as laziness, a lack of discipline, or a character flaw. But more often than not, inconsistency is not a sign of weakness. It is a symptom of inner wounding. It is a reflection of places within you that have not yet felt safe, supported, or loved enough to trust consistency. When your nervous system has lived in survival mode, it doesn't always allow you to move forward in a straight line. Instead, it reacts, it protects, it pulls back. That's not failure, that's trauma trying to keep you safe. There are reasons why you start something and stop. There are reasons why you avoid routines or make promises to yourself that you don't follow through on. Somewhere along the way you learned that showing up wasn't always safe. Maybe you were punished for trying. Maybe your efforts were ignored. Maybe every time you got close to something good, it was taken away. So your mind developed a defense mechanism. don't get too close. Don't commit. Don't expect it to last. These beliefs aren't faults. They are emotional scars, and they deserve tenderness, not shame. If you've struggled with inconsistency, you are not broken. You are human. And underneath that inconsistency is a deep desire to feel safe, to trust yourself, and to believe that you are worthy of stability. You may have grown up in chaos and unpredictability or in emotional neglect, and now, even as an adult, your mind and body are still trying to cope. They're still trying to find a rhythm that feels natural and secure. You are doing the best you can with the tools you have, and now it's time to pick up new ones. Instead of judging yourself, begin to listen. What does your inconsistency want you to know? Maybe it's saying, I'm afraid of failing again, or every time I tried before it hurt, or maybe even, I don't know what it feels like to feel steady inside. These aren't excuses, these are truths, and when you listen with compassion, you begin to uncover the real roots of your behavior. And only when you understand those roots can you gently begin to change them. Healing inconsistency is not about suddenly becoming perfect or productive. It's about creating safety. It's about reparenting the parts of yourself that didn't receive the structure, support, or encouragement they needed. It's about saying to yourself, I'm not going to abandon you just because you missed a day. I still love you. Let's try again. That kind of gentle, loving inner dialogue is what creates true change. Not shame, not self-punishment, but compassion. You might need to slow down. You might need to scale back your goals, not because you can't handle more, but because the deeper part of you needs to rebuild trust in small, consistent steps. Instead of forcing yourself to follow a rigid routine, try creating rituals that feel nurturing. Instead of demanding perfection, celebrate progress. When you begin to see inconsistency not as a flaw, but as feedback, everything shifts. You start to work with yourself, not against yourself. The truth is, many people wear masks of discipline, but underneath they are still driven by fear and unworthiness. You don't need to become another person who forces themselves through life. You are allowed to heal gently. You are allowed to move at the speed of safety. You are allowed to start over as many times as it takes without judgment. Every step you take in the direction of love, no matter how small or slow, is a step toward consistency, because real consistency isn't just about doing the same thing every day. It's about showing up for yourself with integrity, presence, and care. When you begin healing your wounds, you naturally become more consistent. Why? Because you are no longer operating from fear. You are no longer battling yourself. Your actions become aligned with your values. You stop procrastinating, not because you got motivated, but because your inner self finally feels supported. You stop quitting halfway because you've stopped expecting disappointment. You begin to feel emotionally safe in the life you're creating, and that safety is what makes consistency sustainable. Give yourself permission to heal. Release the shame you've carried about not being disciplined enough. That shame is not yours to hold. What you truly need is softness, patience, encouragement. Remind yourself that inconsistency is a wound in need of warmth, not punishment. And each time you return to your path, you are doing sacred work. You don't have to be perfect to be whole. You don't have to get it right every time to be on the right track. What matters most is that you keep coming back again and again with a little more love than before. One gentle return can change everything. And slowly, from the inside out, you will become the steady, grounded, and consistent person you've always longed to be. Trust is one of the most precious gifts you can give yourself. It is the quiet strength that lives beneath your actions, beneath your words, beneath every decision you make. It's not something you earn from others first. It begins with you. Trusting yourself means believing that your inner wisdom is real, that your choices matter, that your voice deserves to be heard. It means knowing that no matter what happens, you will not abandon yourself. And that is the most healing, empowering gift you will ever receive. So many people move through life trying to gain the trust of the world. They try to prove themselves, to earn approval, to win acceptance. But the truth is, none of that matters if you don't trust yourself first. Without self-trust, praise feels empty and success feels unstable. You'll always wonder if it's real, if you're good enough, if you're allowed to rest. But when you trust yourself, you carry a peace that no one can take from you. You move with clarity. You speak with calm authority. You stop chasing and you start allowing. And everything begins to shift. Self-trust doesn't come from perfection. It comes from consistency, from small, repeated acts of alignment. When you say you'll do something and you follow through, even if it's small, you are building a bridge between your mind and your heart. That bridge is what allows you to feel steady inside. It's what allows you to know that you are safe with yourself. Even when life is uncertain, even when others doubt you, you can lean into that inner stability and say, I've got me. So the reason so many people struggle to trust themselves is because they've broken promises to themselves in the past. They've said this time will be different, only to fall back into old habits. But what they don't realize is that self-trust isn't destroyed by failure, it's damaged by self-abandonment. And the beautiful truth is that it can always be rebuilt with compassion, with intention, with love. You can start today by making one small promise and keeping it. Maybe it's to drink water, to rest when you need to move your body, to speak kindly to yourself. Keep that promise. Let it matter. That's how trust begins to return. Trusting yourself also means trusting your timing. It means releasing the pressure to rush. It means understanding that your journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. You begin to trust your pace, your pauses, your process. And in that trust, there is so much freedom. You stop comparing, you stop judging, you start living in harmony with your own rhythm. And that is a deeply peaceful place to be. It also means listening to your intuition, the quiet voice that gently nudges you, that soft whisper that knows when something is right or wrong for you. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. The more you honor it, the stronger your self-trust becomes. You no longer need everyone else to agree. You no longer need endless advice or reassurance. You begin to trust that your feelings are valid. Your desires are sacred. Your choices are enough. And yes, there will be moments when you doubt. That's natural. That's human. But doubt doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you're growing. In those moments, remind yourself that trust is a practice. It's not something you achieve once and keep forever. It's something you build piece by piece over time. It grows stronger every time you choose to honor yourself. Every time you say no when something doesn't feel right. Every time you take a step forward, even when you're scared. Self-trust is also forgiving yourself when you fall short. It's understanding that mistakes are not evidence of failure, they are part of the journey. You can still trust yourself even when you mess up, especially then, because it means you're not giving up. You're not turning away from yourself. You're staying, learning, and showing up again, and that is what real trust looks like. When you give yourself this gift, something beautiful happens. Your outer world begins to reflect your inner world. Your relationships become healthier. Your boundaries become clearer. Your energy becomes calmer. People can feel it. Life can feel it. Because there is nothing more magnetic than someone who trusts their own heart. So today, make a decision, a gentle, powerful decision. Choose to trust yourself again. Choose to believe that your soul knows what it's doing. choose to give yourself the same faith you've given others. You deserve that. You've always deserved that. And every day that you practice this trust, you'll feel it grow. Deeper, stronger, steadier. Until one day you'll wake up and realize you no longer have to search outside of yourself for approval, safety, or love. You've already found it right where it was all along within you. And what would you say about this all along? After all, it's only then that you feel it right where it was all along.